gameplay we go. It is Kawhi versus Cloud9.
Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so Cloud9 not going to be playing the mirror matchup with Snuts on the Windwalker Monk. Snuts, in fact, is going to be coming in on that Shadow Priest. And this is a composition that we saw from Method in Europe yesterday. Really, really powerful. Lots of instant crowd control, lots of burst damage, which is exactly what you want right now. Kawhi running that bread and butter Windwalker Fire Mage Paladin. This is a composition I feel like they've been running for the last 2 years and had great success. And this is, if last season wasn't their time to shine, now certainly is. So both these teams coming out guns ablaze.
Yeah, and we're going to see Snuts here kind of making his debut for the season. Well, in general, I guess, for the season. But on that Shadow Priest, it's been a minute since we've seen him on that. And he gets a mind control onto Drake. Drake gets Hammer of Justice behind the pillar. Wealthy Man with the Combustion Meteor smacks him right there. Immediate Trinket Touch of Karma forced here by Cloud9. Very strong opener so far. And they're looking to get a little bit more. Wealthy Man, of course, repping the Winter Queen gang there as well, resetting some of his cooldowns immediately with that shifting power. Wealthy Man going to be the target of choice right now for Kawhi, and let's see what they can do. Drake now looking to set something up here.
All right, let's see. Meteor comes in from Ceralium. That was his combustion, but Wealthy Man stripped it off instantaneously, and that is the best counter to a mage is actually another mage with that Kleptomania spell steal and a cancel aura macro. You can remove combustion from an enemy mage instantaneously, so you've always got to cover it, try and counterspell Polymorph before you go, or Polymorph the mage before you launch your attack. So Wealthy Man, Snuts, going to be able to shut that down. Really, it's up to Cloud9. How do they want to get aggressive? Because this is a very similar matchup to what we saw in Battle for Azeroth with their Warlock Mage, where Drake and Ceralium will just sit at the pillar, wait until deep dampening, run in, overwhelm you with a one-shot, and just take the game. So what is Cloud9 going to do when Kawhi is playing so defensively? Snuts gets interrupted. He was trying to use Door of Shadows to jump in on top of the enemy attackers. Maybe he was just baiting an interrupt. He's building up Insanity. He's maxed out. He can use 2 Devouring Plagues, which is a new ability to Shadow Priests. It is a disease that Snuts can apply. It works similarly to like an Earthshock or a Star Surge from a Boomkin and an Elemental Shaman. It's going to be his big spender, and he can cast 2 of them. He fades in for a Fear. Doesn't look like he's actually going to go for it. They're trying to swap to Brain. They stun lock him with the Psychic Horror potentially. They just totally get shut down. Now Snuts is overextended. Meteor comes crashing in, and it looks like Dispersion will trade for that attack. I think it's more than fair. Zwen the Tiger and Combustion from Ceralium and Drake. Snuts makes an efficient trade now that those cooldowns are out of the way. I'm curious to see if they get aggressive. Actually, Zwen still is out. Snuts is trying to retreat away from that. Polymorph on Drake. Polymorphs on Ceralium, trying to stall, wait for the cooldowns before leading the charge. This is likely to be a matchup, I think, that will go into dampening. I really only see Drake potentially getting blasted out before that point.
And Drake is not going in. Well, I guess he's going in now, but when he didn't have that touch of karma, he was more than willing to just run away. And this is almost like it's a game of chicken. Both these teams don't want to fully commit. Snuts is going to be pushing in right now, looking for a potential Fear. Can he find it on Brain? No, he can't. Drake's going to port away. And it's like you mentioned, CBTs. I mean, Kawhi, they're so willing to play defensive. They're so willing to just sit back, press their advantage, wait for cooldowns. Drake now potentially getting a double stun. Beautifully done with that Ring of Peace. And Snuts might just get wiped out. No dispersion available. Cubsy might have to use his everyman for himself and use that sacrifice. It is going to be the Trinket and the ultimate sacrifice to keep Snuts alive. Kawhi, very, very hit-and-run style strategy, and they're able to get not only the dispersion, but now they get the Trinket and the sacrifice, just slowly chipping away at those cooldowns.
Ooh, but they left Brain behind here. Big swap coming out. Brain almost going down there. Nasty spell not gonna be used here, and that was a great counter push there by Cloud9. They wanted to go after Drake there, but Drake positioned very defensively. Ceralium as well was running for the hills there after they did that big push that got them the Trinket from Cubsy, and then they managed to catch Brain there with that disarm and swap to him with that combustion. So actually without the combustion even. So very, very heads up play there. Now they're trying to force out some damage onto Wealthy Man from the side of Kawhi, and Wealthy Man actually dropping kind of low there, Stay by the Light is going to proc there, and Drake now in a mind control. And we saw this at the start of the game. He is going to get Hammer of Justice there, and he actually is in the open there. So Brain actually going to be able to dispel him. Drake going to be able to run back to safety there. Close call, but they don't force out any massive defensives there. So Drake now, once again, going to be pushing out into the open here. Has his touch of karma. He feels safe. Kicks the polymorph, trying to get some damage going. Surrounding gets the polymorph there onto Snuts. Here we go. Big damage coming out now onto Wealthy Man. And that was the combustion of Cerulean, but Wealthy Man is going to be able to survive there. Nice grip there from Snuts as well. Cubsy didn't have to trade out anything as well other than those wings. So a very nice situation here for C9. Snuts maybe looking to push in here now, try to get aggressive onto Brain potentially.
Well, let's see if they can get another swap to the Paladin. Definitely a strength of the composition. Shadow Priest Mage. They are trying to go after Brain. Will Divine Protection be enough? They paralyze Wealthy Man. Wealthy Man still hasn't pulled the trigger on that combustion. Sitting on it. They still have Silence and Shadow Fiend. They polymorph Brain. They might be making a swap, trying to go after Drake. Drake line of sights. Cerulean's out in midfield, but he's a Fire Mage against Double Caster. He's pretty much not a target here with that Triune Ward, so he is just baiting them to attack him. We see Wealthy Man, Snuts, and Cubsy pull away from this pillar. They got Divine Protection. They don't want to overstay their welcome. They knows when the Tiger is available for Drake. Combustion likely available for Cerulean after a couple of fireballs, so Cloud9 need to get ready to play some defense as Dampening has begun. Slight mana advantage to Brain, although that's unlikely to be too much of a factor for some time at this point between these teams. Wealthy Man the target at the moment for Drake and Cerulean. They're just trying to bait something. Drake's pulling back to the pillar. Wealthy Man does get hit pretty hard. I think Cubsy's trying to drink and even the mana out before this gets a little bit too late, and he does manage to get a tick. Both teams have their hardest hitting cooldowns, so even one error and someone will just absolutely get erased. Snuts is dooring in with that Venthyr Door of Shadows. Fears Brain. Nice setup by Snuts. So they going after Brain. 2 minutes till his Divine Shield. He gets stunned up. He Divine Protections. He needs help, but Cerulean gets silenced. Cerulean trinkets out to interrupt Snuts on that, but the combustion is popped. Brain's in trouble. Pops the Avenging Wrath. Gets a big heal with that Battle Master. More than enough to survive the swap. Good peels there from Kawhi. I like that Cerulean values his medallion to help his Paladin over himself, as he is unlikely to need it aggressively for some time. Brain now charging in, trying to stop that mind control. Blinding Light on Snuts. Cubsy dispels. Drake and Nepali. Now Brain dispels, but now we see a mind control on Drake, and we saw that right off the bat. Mind controlling Drake out of line of sight. I'm curious to see if Snuts looks to initiate that type of strategy later in the game. Drake isn't really giving that opportunity like he did right off the start. Mana totally even, 6.5 minutes in, 10% dampening.
10% dampening, and this could go the distance. I mean, both these teams, when they don't have cooldowns, they're willing to just sit back. Wealthy Man taking a huge hit. He blinks back to the safety of his side of the map. Cubsy right now with his Avenging Wrath going to be able to get lots of damage and lots of healing. Snuts pushing in, trying to find the full psychic screen once again. Who are they going after? Looks like they're trying to set up on Brain, but Cerulean gets caught into the Hammer of Justice. Maybe a little bit of damage on him, but Wealthy Man paralyzed into a leg sweep, not able to get off any damage in the setup whatsoever. And Cerulean is going to be completely fine. Good shutdown, good denial. Cloud9 trying to push the pace, but Kawhi just playing excellent defense in this situation.
Yeah, and we're going to see Brain actually looking to... it's going to be Cubsy pushing back to his side of the map, just trying to be on max range. These healers have been positioning very well. Brain there in a polymorph, but it's not going to result in too much. Drake just porting behind the pillar. Now Wealthy Man kind of on the front line here, going to be taking a little bit of damage. Activated his altered time right there, so he's going to be kind of fine. We see a drink here coming out from Brain early on there. Cerulean as well in a polymorph. We're going to see Cubsy now paralyzed, sitting down for a drink out of the paralyze, as it doesn't put him in combat. And look at Drake mind control here, might be swapping to him. There it is, big damage coming out, and look at Wealthy Man kind of positioned perfectly between the healer and Drake, and that is going to net them all of Drake's entire spellbook, more or less, with that mind control from Snuts. So very, very nice play, and that's exactly what C9 are trying to do. They have Snuts pushing in with the Venthyr Racial, trying to get some big setups with the Fear. Ooh, Wealthy Man now, though, in a lot of trouble here. Going to use his every man for himself there and break out of the stun there. Beautiful stuff, but he's still taking a lot of damage. Cubsy powering through, holding that Hand of Sacrifice, and Drake does push and get something back for his effort. Now mind control on Cerulean. Drake can't interrupt it. Brain sitting up for a drink. This could be big trouble on Cerulean here. What do they have? They get a Hammer of Justice. Wealthy Man with beautiful damage there. Cerulean trinkets out. He's going to be enough. He blinks to his healer, but his healer's in a polymorph. That's going to be the Ice Block Master Spell coming through. That's the Car Rise as well. Cerulean behind the pillar, taking so much damage. Wealthy Man chasing him down, misses the Dragon's Breath. Cerulean Invis, what a legend. Invising out of the ice block there after it clears out the dots, and that should keep him alive. But these mind controls have been absolutely brutal for Kawhi.
Oh man, Ceruleum has started to try and polymorph Drake, so he's polymorphing his own teammate when he gets mind controlled to stop him from getting pulled to the enemy side. If he can actually manage to do that, it could save his team the game, but that setup was sick by Cloud9. They're in a very good position now with maximum mana, and I was questioning their composition and its ability to close this out, but there seems to be some clear lines such as this mind control tactic. Drake uses Ring of Peace to interrupt mind control. Snuts goes for it again. Wealthy Man gets blasted though by Ceruleum. You got to be careful. He's stunned up. They're trying to KO him. Cubsy stops the kill with sacrifice. Now Drake stunned very out in the open, trying to get back to his team. Mind games cast by Snuts. Brain trying to dispel. They trade Karma. They pour it back, but Wealthy Man blinks in. He could be punished for this. Paralyzed on his combustion. Good shutdown. Wealthy Man still trying to lead the charge aggressively here. Snuts Dwarf Shadows in as well. Drake's on the run, trying to escape back to Ceruleum, but Brain got left behind. Maybe they're going to swap to Brain. Lock him in a Ring of Frost. He gets interrupted on the polymorph. Looks like Kawhi are going to recover in this position. The cooldowns are looking thin. I'm curious if they want to try and stall this out. They are definitely, I would say, notorious for being able to stall games out until very deep dampening. Both of these teams, that's kind of one of their key strategies. So who's the king of dampening in North America will be decided.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. We're already at 30% dampening right now. Drake taking a huge hit of damage. Sacrifice comes in from Brain as they make a swap on him. He has to retreat to the pillar. Right now, Kawhi, their defensive cooldowns, they're looking a little thin. There's no Ice Block, there's no Cauterize, there's no Touch of Karma. Luckily, still, Brain has that Defiant Shield, but Cloud9 really punishing with the Shadow Priest Mage. Anytime they push in, they're getting mind controlled, they're getting swapped to immediately. You can see Drake forced to retreat right now, and I think Kawhi, they have to take a moment to breathe. I do think there's going to be a moment in the game where they kind of can push through and take down Snuts potentially. Maybe go after Wealthy Man, but they have to reset some of those defensive cooldowns. Otherwise, just going in and trying to win at this point in the game, I feel like is not advantageous for them.
Yeah, we're going to see if they can close out the match here, or if Kawhi can actually stall and get that Ice Block back. Wealthy Man actually taking a lot of damage here. Sheep onto Snuts, getting swapped there to Cubsy, but actually gets interrupted. And now Wealthy Man looking for his own setup, doesn't get the Ring of Frost, looking for a polymorph onto Brain. And here we go, Drake behind the pillar. What is he going to answer with? He trinkets, he uses the Diffuse Magic, Touch of Karma as well. Brain still in crowd control there with that Ring of Frost out of the Sheep. The Sheep walked him into the ring at the end of the duration and re-CC'd him there. Very, very nice there. Dragon's Breath coming out there for Wealthy Man on the Fist of Fury as well, just trying to keep himself alive. Dampening so high now that the damage is just any damage might be enough to trigger Cauterize. And there it is. Cubsy, preemptive sacrifice there before he gets blinded lighted, and that's going to be enough to keep Wealthy Man alive. Combustion from Ceruleum as well, going to be active right there, and Wealthy Man is going to have his combustion up in about a minute, so definitely has opportunity here to swap to Brain as well if they leave him behind. And they're sheeping Drake, trying to set up for it, but Drake immediately pushes out there, realizing that he has to be the front line, but he also has to run preemptively. Very difficult scenario. No cooldowns left for Brain. Ceruleum does have his Ice Block again, and Brain has all of his cooldowns.
I think Cubsy might have disconnected. Wealthy Man's in a lot of trouble. Will Snuts be able to save him? Snuts is interrupted. I think this might be a case of no mercy. Cubsy's back, but they got Ice Block. And that definitely gives a big opportunity to Kawhi in game number one. No Cotters, no block, and Ceruleum has his block now available. Dampening is going nowhere but up. This could break the record for highest dampening in Shadowlands so far. I'm trying to remember what it was yesterday in EU. Brain caught a Ring of Frost. Are they going to go after Brain? They may have to. It looks like they want to, but Snuts gets interrupted. Wealthy Man has to solo him, but he gets paralyzed by Drake. Drake off healing and supporting Brain. Excellent support by Kawhi, protecting their Paladin on that swap. Likely the most fragile target. Now Brain is charging in. They want to get aggressive. They know they've got an opportunity. Cubsy's locked down in a stun. Wealthy Man is the target. Snuts saves the day with a mind control on Drake, pulling Drake away. But Ceruleum is just blasting Wealthy Man out in midfield, shifting power to reset that combustion. Night Fae power definitely coming in clutch. Drake has to trade Diffuse, though, if he wants to stay out in midfield. He's getting shredded. Both teams in a lot of trouble right now here. No cooldowns for Drake. No cooldowns for Wealthy Man. Who's going to fall first? Wealthy Man Night Faeing away with that Vulpin form. Drake in hot pursuit. Now gripped back by Snuts. Will Wealthy Man be able to escape? He's got nothing. 12 seconds on sacrifice. Full polymorph. That's it. The Wild Seed. Are they going to be able to save the Wild Seed? They're trying to Shadow Man. No, they can't. Void Shift was actually available for Snuts. He may have been able to save that in the final moments, but Obviously devastating for Cloud9. Kawhi, though, take game 1.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
that was a really back and forth game we saw from these two teams. Kawhi just really willing to sit back. I mean, this is a strategy we've seen from them time and time again. They're willing to just sit back, wait for their advantage, and then push in when finally the Windwalker Monk damage is super significant. Cubsy really struggles to just heal through the sheer throughput at 50% dampening, and they're able to close out a kill onto Wealthy Man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ben. I feel like last year it was definitely a theme with this team. The survivability of the players is insane. I think CPT is even dubbed Brain the Paladin. Like, what was it that you said? Like the Holy Paladin to kill or
immortal.
something?
I want
Brandy
to count.
immortal.
I want to count how
What?
many Vivifies Drake used. I swear, he uses Vivify more than any monk I've ever seen. He probably cast 200 of them that game. But we can see the final moments of the game here. Wealthy Man, just really nothing left to work with. No Trinket, no Cauterize, no Ice Block. Cubsy struggling to keep him alive. I mean, at 51% dampening, all the instant crowd control, the Dragon's Breath, the Polymorph, Brain there to back him up as well. Wealthy Man eventually gets taken down by Drake, who's all over him, and they're able to scramble the egg and take Wealthy Man down and claim the first game. And I mean, winning game number one for these two teams, definitely important. The one thing is, I feel like Kawhi, this composition that they're running, this is kind of their bread and butter. But what's really cool for them is they kind of leveled up a little bit. They brought on a new fourth. They have a balanced druid on their team now, and that gives them a lot of comp options. So they're no longer kind of the Windwalker, Fire Mage, Paladin one trick. They actually have a lot of options in case Cloud9 decides to mix it up.
Yeah, and for the first game of the season, this is looking really good for them. They managed to take a win off of Cloud9. And, like we talked about before that game got started, not something that we saw very often. Cloud9 certainly a force to be reckoned with. And now they're on the back foot here. They've lost their first game here. And, something that we saw, that we've seen twice today, Rogue Mage, one of those really classic compositions. Snut's one of the best rogues in this region, maybe even in the world, and he's opting to play that Shadow Priest alongside that mage rather than being on his rogue. Do we know why exactly they chose to do that, Zico?
Well, I feel like in this matchup, you're going to be going up against potentially an Orc Mage, an Orc Windwalker with Cephas. I don't know about the Mage. The Mage can just play Triune, but for sure the Windwalker is going to be extremely hard to kill. So I think Sub-Rogue in general is going to be struggling a lot on the TR because of that. And also, I feel like the Shadow Priest Mage is a pretty solid answer here to what Kawhi have. There's definitely some things that Cloud9 did wrong there, but I do think we're going to see the same matchup play out. And hopefully for C9, Cubsy won't DC there because I think they got Cauterize and Ice Block at the back of that. So definitely, not really ideal for C9 there. Even though it did get back quickly, it is, like a big defensive cooldown. And when the game is that late, having, your Ice Block is very important, of course. So I think Cloud9 might lock in the same thing, but I could be wrong about that. They definitely also have a lot of options. They could even go for the mirror match as well. Oh, there it is.
All right, Cloud9 putting Wealthy Man in on the Fire Mage here. 2 Fire Mages into Empyrean Domain. Like we've mentioned before, new map here. Bit of a neutral one, pretty similar to Ashamane's here, so it doesn't really seem to affect much Supatis. What is the win condition looking like for both of these teams now that we know both of their compositions?
Well, prior to dampening, who has the higher win potential? I feel like Cloud9 probably does. The fact they've got a Windwalker on the other side that has to overextend, they can compromise his positioning and kind of blast him. So I feel like pre-dampening Cloud9 is likely going to be in more control, but later in dampening, when your healing is reduced by 60%, it really becomes chaotic if you underreact for even a second to the amount of burst damage available from all the classes in this matchup. You're just going to suddenly lose the game and get blown out. So it definitely evens out in dampening, but I feel like the Shadow Priest Mage is going well. If Cubsy didn't have that disconnect, I feel like maybe they got tilted by it too because they were in like full control of the game and they still had Void Shift at the end. It felt like they were going to win. Like Cloud9 looks really good. I'm actually surprised Kawhi didn't change. I was actually expecting maybe Boomkin to come out just on the bigger map like Empyrean Domain, and then maybe on the small maps go with a Windwalker. But they do still have that. I would like to see it. I mean, maybe I'm biased towards Boomkin, so I just want to see them. And Previ's easily like best Boomkin right now, so I would like to see it at some point, right? Like everybody keeps telling me like Moonkin, but I want to see one. Hopefully in this series we'll see one. Okay, that was a Guardian Druid. That was not a Boomkin.
We saw one. We saw one. All right, here we go. Same thing. So we're kind of talking about Kawhi pressing their advantage, and I really do feel like they are advantaged in dampening just the amount of consistent damage Drake is able to bring, and plus that mortal wounds effect from the Rising Sun kick. It reduces a lot of incoming healing. They can just push in, use all that crowd control, and really push that burst. But I want to play a game. If anyone watching right now can count the amount of Vivifies Drake casts, we are at 1. Let's see, there's 2. All right, somebody's going to count all of those, and they can tweet it at me or something like that. But it's absolutely crazy how much off-healing this Windwalker Monk throws in for his team and is just willing to survive. But a big setup here by Cloud9. They're looking for a big mind games onto Brain. Can they get more? It looks like they do get the Divine Shield. Beautiful setup by Cloud9, wanting to push that early game advantage.
Excellent opener there, and you gotta say the vent tier for Shadow Priest, or Priest in general, is just so big. But Wealthy Man right now in a lot of trouble. Cubsy in a Ring of Frost gonna trinket and not use his sacrifice there, but just the trinket is going to be enough there. Snot's now left behind, taking a few hits there as well, but activating his heals there from Cubsy with those wings, gonna keep Snuts nice and safe. Snut's actually opting to not even use his fade right there. He's going to be holding on for it, potentially going to be looking for a Ventir blink into the fear combo, and when you do that, you definitely want to have that fade as well, because you are exposing yourself big time. So Snut's not going for the mind control here. We've seen what happens when those mind controls get lobbed out. He gets counterspelled. So Snuts has an excellent opportunity here. If he wants to try to push in for Brain, he has an opportunity to go for it. Let's see if he does take it here. Wealthy Man going to be resetting his cooldowns there with the shifting power. Snuts now potentially going into, there it is, Door of Shadows going to be casted in there. He's going to hit Cerulean with it. Ring of Frost going to be combo with it. Brain does avoid it. Gets the Hammer of Justice onto Cubsy to avoid getting Hammer of Justice himself. And look at Brain just sitting behind a pixel right there between the Ring of Frost and the guy who wants to stun him. And nice defense there from Kawhi. He's going to shut down that push there from Snuts and from Cloud9. And now they have an opportunity to potentially get aggressive themselves. Potentially Cubsy here, since he is off the R here, Drake, looking to roll in and maybe just get a little bit of damage here onto Wealthy Man. Right now, they're more than happy to just kind of stall for that Divine Shield of Brain on the side of Kawhi.
Cubsy's moving in towards Brain. Which Paladin's going to get the hammer first? He's surrounded at the moment by Snuts and Cubsy. He's just avoiding Cubsy at the moment. There's the hammer. They're swapping to Brain. Huge damage! Divine Protection isn't going to be enough. Looks like it. Brain breaks out of the stun and starts to recover. But this map is definitely working out really well for Cloud9. These swaps to Brain are a lot more effective. But here we see Drake caught in Polymorph, trying to prevent his attacks here while Cubsy is locked in a Polymorph. Mind controls on Cerulean, breaks the chain. Snuts playing good defense, but he gets ringed far away from his team. Out of line of sight potentially there, a bit dangerous. Drake trying to stay on target, coming back to the pillar. Line of sighting here. They need to get ready. Brain's going to get hit pretty hard here. So Snuts has Power Infusion, Silence, Shadow Fiend. He's ready to go. Brain gets an Awakening proc, I believe, there on his Word of Glory, so he's got Avenging Wrath up for a few moments, and yeah, Kawhi know that they need to protect, play defense at the moment, attack whoever comes close, but don't overextend and get crowd controlled. That would be devastating if they can manage to pull Brain away from the pillar, and Kawhi are not going to compromise their positioning here. Snuts is threatening a door in. Cerulean blinks back away from it. I love these bait Door of Shadows casts from Snuts, where he just fakes somebody out, makes it think that he's going in. Mind control on Cerulean. Wealthy Man going toe-to-toe with Drake. Drake not going to chase after him. Cerulean on the opposite side of the map at the moment from that mind control. Cubsy now in a Hammer of Justice. Cerulean's trying to help out Brain. Brain's locked in a Ring of Frost, Psychic Scream. Good crowd control by Cloud9. They're pushing for the kill. Will Brain survive here? He needs some backup. Drake backs him up with a stun. Will it be enough? Saved by the Light's going to proc. Brain dispels off the mind games. Trying to pick himself back up through the Power Infusion of Snuts. Combustion is still available, but fortunately for Brain, he held onto his Gladiator's Medallion thanks to Drake and Cerulean's support, so he will have that to trade for the Combustion. Wealthy Man is a big threat right now. Cerulean is a big threat right now, and Drake is a big threat right now. They all have their hardest hitting cooldowns available. At any moment, they could pull them out. Who are they going to go after? I think Brain is likely the target, but they're threatening Drake a little bit, trying to make Brain uneasy in terms of where he needs to manage his defensive cooldowns. Wealthy Man at the moment is the target. He did go down in game 1, but it was very deep dampening before we saw that really start to kick in. Cerulean mind controlled while Drake tries to get some damage up, but now he's polymorphed. Good shutdown here from Drake. We see that Tiger, it blends in with the blue background, but that Tiger does basically all of the damage of the Windwalker, so they need to crowd control it. They use Frost Nova, but even that, Wealthy Man's getting blasted. Wealthy Man repositions, dragging him away. Snuts sneaks into the back line, gets a double Psychic Scream. Looks like they're trying to go after Drake with the Psychic Horror, but not enough damage. Everybody's looking A-okay despite that nice little play by Snuts. Cerulean gets polymorphed. Snuts threatening Door of Shadows in. Once again, they're swapping to Brain. Brain going to use that Gliders Medallion for combustion. Cerulean strips it off. Good reaction time there by Cerulean to peel Wealthy Man's combustion. Brain makes it out again with a fair trade.
Yeah, very fair trade. And once again, Cloud9 pushing the pace of the match. They really need to get something going because as time goes on, Kawhi getting closer and closer to a victory, just holding on to their defensive cooldowns or offensive cooldowns, waiting to make that big push. Brain just a few moments away from having his Divine Shield back up. Both years, the mind controls, really finding those opportunities to actually try to burst someone down and get these cooldowns from Kawhi in the earlier stages of the match. Drake once again just going to be using that Transcendence to run away. Cerulean, Brain, and Drake, they're splitting up a little bit more in the match, and I kind of like that just because it seems like that they're dogpiled. Those big fears from Snuts really allowing Cloud9 to set up on Brain, and here it is, another Hammer of Justice. Snuts trinkets out, gets caught into a Dragon's Breath. Beautiful Dragon's Breath by Cerulean. Can they hold on? Vivify's coming in from Drake. Brain getting a little bit lower, doesn't want to greet it. He has a Divine Shield, and in this case, greet is good. And he is able to hold on to that massive defensive cooldown. That was such a nice setup there by Cloud9, but good peels from Drake. Cerulean allow Brain to hold on to that Divine Shield.
Excellent setup, but also nice peels there from Drake, spamming out the Vivifies, and Wealthy Man now taking a lot of damage here, needs to be a little bit careful. Cubsy does trade out the sacrifice there to keep his mage in the fight, and there's actually an interesting thing they can do here on the side of Cloud9. If they can ever mind control Brain and give him a blessing of protection, they can actually put him on forbearance and just kill him. There's a Shadow Priest mage team in Europe that loves to do that strategy. They basically just only play for that, and it's definitely something that can catch you by surprise if you're playing that Holy Paladin. So see if they end up going for that. Right now, it's all about setting up these kills with the Door of Shadows onto Brain, and then landing crowd control at the back end of that. And so far, I would like to say, actually, it's C9 a little bit on the back foot. Brain's, all of his cooldowns have rotated back up. Drake only exposed target. Wealthy Man taking a lot of damage. No sacrifice available. Cubsy does have his big Divine Favor heal there, though, and he's going to be able to top him up there. Door of Shadows now being casted by Snuts. There's the Fade. Double Fear. Here we go. Sheep onto Brain. Let's see, what do? They swap the Sheep here onto Cerulean. Nice silence. Here we go. Hammer of Justice. Clean setup. Going to be respected there with the Brain using that human racial. So his trinket says that it's ready, but it's not going to be ready for another minute and 20 or so more seconds. So small victory there for C9 once again.
All right, let's see if they can keep getting these repeated over and over, as dampening now is at 20%. I think it was at roughly 50+% last time, but Drake's in trouble. Overextended, position compromised, but not enough damage to close it out here. No cooldowns to really force anything too big. We can see Cubsy and Snuts repositioned back here. Snuts kind of playing in the, or Wealthy Man playing in the front. He's going to be very durable on that Fire Mage as they both trade fireballs. They're trying to blast him down. They do manage to trigger the Cauterize before the Blessing of Protection. Clutch Meteor there, Combustion from Cerulean. Good combo. Wealthy Man couldn't get it off in time. I think he thought he was more tanky than he ended up being here. We are now at 23% dampening, so not able to play with those risks. Snuts is baiting the Door of Shadows, trying to get some mobility cooldowns out of the enemy team before committing and moving in on top of them. Brain repositioning away. Cerulean sneaks in for a poly, but Drake's in trouble, has to run away. Snuts mass dispels the polymorph. Cubsy could move in now with this as an opportunity. Are they going to get aggressive? They have Power Infusion, Shadow Fiend, Void Form. They got everything ready to go, but Drake could counter assault at any moment as well. A tense moment, but they're going in right on top of Brain. Big mind games, huge damage. Brain Divine Shields right away. No Mass Dispel. Snuts used it earlier on a polymorph. Not going to find that. So Brain trades evenly for that all-in attempt. I don't mind him respecting those cooldowns. Now Zwen is out. Wealthy Man could be in trouble. There's no Cauterize to rely on. Cubsy immediately trades his sacrifice for the Zwen, but now he is taking a ton of redirected damage. Does manage to recover through it, although it will become increasingly difficult with dampening almost 30%.
Yeah, these are really nice mind controls from Snuts. When the Zwen's out, he's getting mind controls on Ceralium, Ring of Frost out onto Drake and all his pets. But Wealthy Man has to use his Ice Block. I mean, this is huge for the side of Kawhi. We're at 30% dampening. Wealthy Man finds himself in a situation where, once again, he's got no Ice Block and he has no Cauterize. So super susceptible, but another potential setup here onto Brain. They get the Hammer of Justice. Where's the damage? Big mind games coming in. Brain, does he have the trinket? He trinkets and dispels himself, but he gets caught into another stun. And it looks like Brain will be able to barely survive. Not that much damage incoming. Snuts still going for it, though. Gets the Mass Dispel onto the crowd control of Cubsy. Wealthy Man is now the one on the back foot, but now Brain, no trinket, no Divine Shield. He's in a lot of trouble. If Wealthy Man and Snuts can set up just one more time, they do have Combust. They just have to hold on. Void Shift comes in from Snuts. Wealthy Man barely able to hold on. Cloud9 doing everything they can. They just need one more chance on Brain. They need one more setup, and if they can get that, they can win the game, but I don't know if they have enough time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Wealthy Man's still under a lot of pressure. Cubsy in a paralyzed. Wealthy Man might just go down here, activates the Triune Ward, and there it is. The seed is going to proc. There is the blessing of protection on the seed, but it doesn't matter. He gets erased right there. Ceralium able to steal that one, and this was another super close game right there.
Yeah, it certainly was. Kawhi taking that game number 2 victory, now 2-0 on match point for this upcoming game, as this is a best of 5 series, and both of these teams honestly playing pretty clean game, like you're saying, Zigo, super evenly matched as well. And now that Cloud9 is down 2 points here, I wonder what they have left to do for this game number 3 if they want to try and turn things around, Ven.
Well, I mean, they literally, I really feel like they're just one setup away from winning the game. I mean, there was no trinket, there was no Divine Shield. The constant setups coming in from Cloud9 were really, really solid, but when Wealthy Man is pushing in like that, it kind of compromises his position, and that's where Drake and Ceralium can kind of strike back. And at 30% dampening, it starts becoming really difficult for Cubsy to deal with that Windwalker and Fire Mage damage, especially the burst is extremely high. And Kawhi just playing to that win condition of later on in dampening. I mean, this is something we see this team do so consistently. They're willing to just play to their win condition as Windwalker Mage. Just, they're very tanky. They can sit back and then they do the burst. And as long as they're surviving, they get out their burst, they get the cooldowns, and they eventually pull out a win. And that's what we're seeing here in this matchup. But I feel like Cloud9, there's still so many moments in the game where they could have potentially won. So I would not blame them if they lost in this matchup again.
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned here, they're one setup away. Brain, look at his cooldowns, he has nothing, but it's just Wealthy Man dying to that sustained damage of the Windwalker. Those wings for Cubsy, 20 seconds away. If he had something there, could have been enough to keep him alive. There was a small overlap there at the end from C9 with the Void Shift and the bubble, but it was just kind of one of those situations. The mage is super low, Snut just presses it, and at the same time, Cubsy also uses his bubble, right? So just small things like that can definitely decide the game there, allow you to get that final go. But both teams so far playing a very, very clean game and playing to their win conditions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully we can see Cloud9 turning around in game number 3. That clip too as well, you can unfortunately see Drake kind of bouncing around the map there and is affected by that mind control bug. We are aware of it. Ashmane's Fall going to be the next map choice here. Kawhi choosing their composition next. And again, very similar to the last map that we just saw. Is that indicative of maybe both of these teams choosing to play both comps here? I mean, like Ven was saying, Supatees, it seemed like they were kind of just one setup away from getting a victory here. Are they going to try this same strategy going into game number 3?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is just a map that you can compromise positioning. This is where I actually would like to see just a blind lock Moonkin for one game, but Kawhi have just rode this Windwalker Mage for all of last season, and now looks like they're going to ride it this season too. So I'm not surprised to not see them switch. It's more or less just a personal preference to see a Boomkin play. I feel like double caster versus double caster on a big map too might give them more of like a surprise factor. Maybe Cloud9 don't expect it. Boomkin Mage is not the most common comp at the moment, and they would play very similarly to the Shadow Priest Mage. One way we could see Kawhi win pre-dampening, and this is usually a tactic you can use against Shadow Priest, is if you counterspell them, they can't use any of their defensive cooldowns. So if you can crowd control Wealthy Man with Polymorph, lock Snuts on a Shadow cast, and then just power him down with a Combustion, that is one way for Kawhi to try and find victory before dampening. We haven't seen it too much. He's likely, Ceralium is just saving counterspell to stop goes, because Kawhi is just all defense. They know, hey, if we live to dampening, we're going to overwhelm them with damage. So everything towards defense. Nothing, no offense, only defense, and just drag the fight on and on and on and on, which was Cloud9's strength for a while. I mean, they were the ones dominating with that strategy, and now they need to figure out something else if they want to be able to take this series back in their own hands. Maybe even Chanimal comes in on a Boomkin. Maybe they even try Boomkin Mage, try and mix it up a little bit. I think Boomkin Mage could do well as well into this. You just cross crowd control the Monk and the Paladin, beam and a Hodge. I feel like that could work for them. They get more instant crowd control.
See, you just want to see a Boomkin.
Yeah, maybe.
You don't care which team tags them in.
Yeah, maybe.
As long as somebody brings one, I'm happy.
I want to see a Boomkin too. Don't lie, Zico. They're pumping this year.
It's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, they are for sure, but I think the setup that Cloud9 is running is fine. If they were going to swap it, I would have liked to see a mirror, but I feel like Kawhi is probably the better mirror team.
Kawhi is certainly insanely good, and maybe they're the best Windwalker Mage Paladin. They're definitely making a strong case for themselves, but I feel like Cloud9, I guess these games really are so close. Really, Cloud9 was one setup away. They had a lot of opportunities, but I wouldn't even mind seeing them try to lock in the mirror match for the future. If they can't figure out something else, I feel like if Kawhi wins this 3-0, Cloud9, I'd like to see Snuts just log in the Windwalker Monk and they go for straight up mirrors, because I mean they're a super solid team themselves. Cubsy and Wealthy Man have absolutely incredible synergy, and I feel like they could definitely go toe to toe, or at least put up a good fight against Kawhi.
All right, going into game number 3 on Ashmane's Fall, it's Kawhi versus Cloud9. Is Cloud9 going to be able to turn this around in their favor, or is Kawhi going to take home this victory?
I just want to see the mind control Bob strat one time. Go in, do the first setup, force Brain's Trinket, and on the second setup, just mind control him. Instead of casting mind games, you just mind control it, and then bop him, and then one-shot him. Because they can hodge him through it, they can do everything they want to do through it, and I think they can get a surprise kill like that one time, but it's obviously a lot easier said than done. And now, once again, gates are open here. We're going to see Drake charging in here for Snuts. Snuts already looking for the first mind controls of the game, trying to drag Drake as far away as possible. Drake realizing that he's about to get mind controlled and pulled into the room, ports back, and now they have them stacked at the pillar. They got the triangle formation. Snuts could potentially be looking for that door of shadows here, looking for some tea time behind that pillar. But right now, they're just stacking up the insanity, stacking up the damage, waiting for an opening to happen.
Mind control on Drake, trying to pull him away. Cerulean polymorphs his own mage. I really like that tactic. Cerulean has some really quick reactions. If he polymorphs Drake during mind control, then Drake just stops moving into a bad position. Definitely solid plan Cerulean's part to catch that every time. Snuts on the left here, getting close to the pillar where Brain is. They want to get an attack on Brain likely in the future. Snuts is just building insanity. He's got a full bar, ready to dump 2 Devouring Plagues. And he needs to make sure that he crowd controls as Drake can remove diseases here. Drake's going to pull away. Snuts is dooring around the corner. Cerulean blinks the Door of Shadows. Polymorph Snuts on his way in. Clutch play, but now Cerulean gets caught in a Psychic Horror. Cubsy's rolling up. Brains into stun. Combustion gets popped out of line of sight of Cerulean. Nice play by Wealthy Man. He got a ton of damage out with that couple of seconds, but not enough. Cerulean blinks back and spell steals it. They silence Brain. They're trying to continue to push him down. He dispels off the mind games, catches the Psychic Horror effect, though, from the Vampiric Touch, managing to Divine Toll back to full health and 1 heal, though. Cubsy now in a polymorph. Brain in position. Blinding Light. Wealthy Man the target. Master Spell around the corner. Snipes Cubsy. It looks like both teams are going to stabilize. Mind control on Drake, though. Cerulean polymorphs him, stopping him from going around the corner. Drake's on target here, going after Wealthy Man. Brain just back at the pillar, not wanting to overextend. It's a very big map. It would be dangerous for him to go for a Hammer of Justice, especially considering he's the main kill target for Cloud9 for like the last 14 minutes of this series. So Brain is likely to just constantly focus on defense, toast him when they need to retreat, and Kawhi are at the moment retreating. Snuts is trying to door in. He baits Cerulean's Blink. See if Snuts can bait anything else here with another Door of Shadows cast. Dropping that Shadow Crash, trying to get some insanity. He's maxed out. They're ready to go. Combustion comes up pretty soon. If they can get another set up here, who are they going to go after? As they get an interrupt out of the way, Cubsy sneaking in. Snuts is right on top of Brain. They're going to fear Brain. Cerulean's in position. He gets stunned, though. He can't Kleptomania the Combustion here. Big hit. And they trade the Trinket Sacrifice. They could swap to the Paladin off that Sacrifice dot. Massive damage across the board, but Brain with huge healing stabilizes. Despite that, they got Gladiator's Medallion from Brain, which is a victory for Cloud9. Their setups have been sick so far. Wealthy Man on the back foot, though, after that pursuit as he pushed quite deep. Can they get anything from Cloud9, though, with that positional punishment? Doesn't look like it. Wealthy Man is stable.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they mixed it up a little bit. They went after Ceralium. The goes on Brain were becoming a little bit too predictable. So for that setup, Snuts went in. He got the Fear. And out of the Fear, it was a Ring of Frost on Brain, a Hammer of Justice on Ceralium. And they were able to get that Trinket sacrifice. So really well done there by Cloud9. And let's see if they can kind of repeat that success. Ceralium just kind of sitting back, resetting his combustion once again. The only problem for Cloud9 is when they make these pushes, Kawhi's kind of baiting them. They're overextending them. Wealthy Man's having to use his shimmers to go in. Cubsy's having to find and use his mobility to actually get the Hammer of Justice. And then he's really susceptible to crowd control. Big setup here onto Brain. Is this Divine Shield? No, he just gets crushed.
What?
Doesn't use the Divine Shield. Like I said, sometimes greed is good, but that was a little too greedy there. Unfortunately, Brain will go down, and Cloud9 puts their first point on the board. Beautiful, consistent setups for them, finally paying off.
Really quick game for Cloud9 as well, shutting that down before dampening. Not a position that we often see those guys in. What exactly happened there for Cloud9 to shut down this team here? Kawhi, early on in the game, Zubatees.
I mean, if you're just caught off for one moment, it's a very scary moment. It's like,
right.
It's kind of like you're just chilling out, you're vibing, you're having a good time. You look at your Omnibar, you're like, oh, combustion's up. Okay. Are we ready for it? It's gonna we're gonna go quickly from chill to freak out mode. You have to like just jump into action as soon as it happens, and if you underreact, then you're gonna get taken out like that. Cloud9 managed to put a point on the board with that strategy. That's what they were trying to do all of last game unsuccessfully. But yeah, if Brain slips up, it will be the end of the game during those moments. So they definitely do need to play perfect.
Indeed it will, Zubatees. Let's take a look at that replay. We can check out just what exactly Zubatees was mentioning here.
Yeah, so we had that previous setup here, forcing out the trinket from Brain to kind of save the mage, and they kind of flipped the script a little bit there. And I think stuff like that is definitely a big reason to why they're able to get those. And here we go, they get the sheep onto Drake, so Drake trinkets, and he wants to probably try to save the bubble. So I think the comms here are going, hey, you're fine, Brain, I got you. I'm gonna shut down the damage, I'm gonna get these Vivifies through. But just too much damage. No one soaking that meteor at the end as well. And that's going to be the combustion Fire Mage one shot, all at the back of one dispel. They just dispel. He gets feared for 3 seconds from that psychic horror, and that's enough time to get a polymorph on the Windwalker, get the silence, and start setting up that stun.
Yeah. And in that particular moment, there's a lot of nuance as well. I mean, Snuts, that could have even been just a miscommunication thing where Ceralium was like, okay, you know what? I got Kleptomania. I'll save you. I'll be able to trinket, and I'll get the Kleptomania. I'll cancel the combust, and you're going to be fine. But what ended up happening is Snuts actually disarmed Ceralium. Ceralium trinketed and got silenced on his trinket. So Snuts committed his silence and his disarm on Ceralium. So Wealthy Man could get off all that burst damage, and maybe that's what caught them off guard. Definitely a sick play there by Cloud9.
Is that something that they're going to be trying to do in this next game, though, Zubatees? Like, are they going to try and shut it down again early, or are they going to do their typical strategy where they just try and get into deep, dampening that classic Cloud9 move?
I feel like it's unfair to say classic Cloud9. Both these teams,
Yeah.
both these
like
teams are
is
justifiably deep dampening players. Like it's not just like one is trying to do it over the other. Both of them know that. If they know when the situation isn't good for them, and they're just like, no, we're not going to take this exchange because the situation is bad for us. We would rather do nothing here. And they'll just never take an exchange they don't think is going to go their way. They're going to stay with the Shadow Priest Mage. Kawhi went with Tiger's Peak. Pretty even neutral map. No advantages there. Again, small map means Brain could be in trouble, so they want something that can kind of even it out. They don't want a totally small map. They're going to stay with the same composition. Likely in that case, Brain is just going to want to trade his cooldowns more readily. If Cloud9 can get on Brain, though, continuously, like they have been, he'll eventually run out of cooldowns. And I was trying to check what legendary he was running, if he's going to switch over to the Prop Paladin one or not. Brain is currently still running the Holy Shock one, so curious to see if he changes that in the future, now that they've sort of revealed that they want to go after him so much.
Yeah, and if you guys are watching from home and want to check that gear out for yourselves, you can go to exclamation gear in chat. You'll get a link to see that, or you can check out that bottom bar down below. Subti, since you already have that up, are there any other gearing choices to note from either of these teams going on?
Well, one that I thought was really weird was Snuts is running Body and Soul in that last game instead of short dispersion cooldown. Normally you'd want dispersion cooldown. I'm trying to remember the name of the talent exactly, but it basically reduces dispersion's cooldown by 30 seconds, and it also makes dispersion heal. So Snuts is actually pretty fragile with the build that he's running, but Body and Soul means that his power word shield will sprint. So maybe he's realizing, hey, I need mobility to get on top of the Paladin to kill him. So he's taking that. That's a big gamble. And it also gives Dispel protection, so he can drop power word shield on his mage during combustion. That's still not going to matter, right? With Kleptomania, there's no Dispel protection advantage there. It's strictly the mobility aspect of the power word shield from that pick. I really don't think I'm trying to think if I've ever seen a Shadow Priest not running that. I feel like it's a big risk to not be running. He's also Night Elf, so he can't really escape stuns too often. I feel like potentially we see Brain's team, Kawhi, try and experiment, go after Snuts a little bit more.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll find out shortly here while these teams get ready. This is an upper bracket match, and like I've already mentioned numerous times before, these guys, every single win counts, especially for these early cups. They're trying to get into that circuit position. Both of these teams, super strong contenders to get in there as well. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both of them ending up in that circuit. They are really strong matches, especially for each other here. Kawhi currently on match point here. They only are one victory away from moving forward here in this upper bracket, choosing to go to Tiger's Peak. And you can tell that when these teams are really taking their time, I feel like that just goes to show how seriously they're taking these matches. They aren't super sure. They aren't really on stable ground here. And we can see Cloud9, Kawhi really taking their time, like I've said here in this upcoming match here. And I don't know, do you think that Zico, Kawhi is going to shut this down 3-1, or is Cloud9 going to turn this around?
Well, that's what happened in OTK series, right? They won 2 games, then Space Station won 1, and then OTK won 3-1. So according to the script, that's what should happen here. But hey, anything is possible, right? I'm not sure.
Right.
I think for Kawhi, it's kind of what Ben highlighted there as well, with the Snuts committing a lot of his lockdown. Instead of having a longer lockdown on that kill target, he decided to use it on the mage, allow his mage to get a little bit more damage off, and a combination as well of Drake, trinketing, trying to go for those vivifies, trying to go for the paralyze and save his paladin's cooldowns. And I think it's small adaptations like that are kind of evolving the matchup a little bit. At first game, we really saw them go after Drake, like for the most part on the side of C9, but then they started doing these paladin strats, then they started going for the paladin, but Kawhi kind of expected it, so they started mixing it up with the mage, and then now they're starting to mix up how they use the lockdown. So I feel like at this point it's 2 evenly matched comps, both teams as well playing to their strengths, knowing when they can be aggressive and when they need to kind of just relax and try to rotate back their defense. And so far, I think anyone can get it. I wouldn't be surprised if we go for a game 5.
All right, well, we'll see if they turn it around here. Cloud9 looking to get this to a game 5 reverse sweep against Kawhi. It's game number 4, Kawhi on match point.
All right, let's see if they can close it out here. Obviously, combustion is very scary, and a little bit of a miscalculation cost Brain the game here. But I'm sure that they will be able to pull this back and definitely keep things interesting. Drake is reluctant to push forward. Would rather just stay at the pillar at the moment. Doesn't want to compromise his positioning. And this is the downside of, do you pick a small map to advantage the Windwalker, but your Paladin's more compromised, or neutral map? It's really tough to select the map, I think, in this matchup for Kawhi. So they went for as neutral of a map as they could. Mind Control, Drake. Where's the polymorph on the Mind Control? Australian Blink counterspells the Mind Control. I would like to actually see that as a setup. Maybe Blink, counterspell on a Mind Control, in-cap the mage so Wealthy can't spell steal, and just blast Snuts down during that time and go for a kill on the Shadow Priest 100-0. They could close it out, but Brain gets stunned up. They're going after him. Is he going to calculate correctly here? Combustion gets stripped off by Cerulean, but will it be enough? Brain dips low, saved by the light procs. Line of sighting around the corner. Snuts did a ton of damage in that exchange, but now Wealthy feeling the pain of pushing forward. Cubsy recovers them, though, instantaneously with that Avenging Wrath. This is this Wen from Drake. However, Cerulean is splitting up his Combust. So they're trying to bait Cubsy to overcommit here. And maybe he has to. It's a ton of damage from that Windwalker. They're going to polymorph Drake, polymorph the Dispel, keep Drake at bay, pause the game so that Cubsy doesn't have to overcommit cooldowns, and stall it out here before their next push on Brain.
Yeah, and I mean, basically, Kawhi playing defense right now and counterattacking. So they wait for Cloud9 to push in, overextend, keep Brain alive, and then try to go for a go where Cerulean can get polymorphs on Cubsy and get that burst damage out. So it's all about defense here for Kawhi. Can they play enough defense and prevent Cloud9? Cloud9, basically, their goal in this matchup is what we saw in the last one, where they push in and they kind of mix it up. Maybe they go after Cerulean, maybe they go after the Brain. But I think if they make their attacks too predictable, then it becomes easy for Kawhi to play defense. So I like what Cloud9 did in the last game where they really switched it up. Who they silence, who they disarm, who they use their Hammer of Justice on, where the crowd control goes, because really all three members of Kawhi are susceptible to the Fire Mage burst. It's incredibly high right now. Snuts gets big damage out on Brain. The Meteor snipes him at the last second. He goes down to 5%. How close was that? Brain thought, you know what? I'm going to be fine. I'm out of line of sight. Boom! Meteor lands, and he almost goes down. That would have been a disastrous situation for Kawhi, but split second decision. The Divine Shield keeps him alive, and Kawhi gets to survive.
That was his every man for himself racial as well. So Brain has no way out of stuns. Cerulean and Drake are going to have their trinkets in 10 seconds, so they're not going to have a Hammer of Justice before that, I don't think. Actually, Cubsy does have it right now. There's a 5-second window where they can win the game, but I think the next setup is just going to be trinketed by Drake, and he's going to probably be peeling with the Vivifies, or Cerulean's going to trinket and counterspell the Mind Games or something. But Brain definitely very exposed here, and that's one of the things with Meteor as well. Meteor actually, even if you blink out of it like a second after it's been on the ground, it's gonna hit you. And right now we see the setup coming in here. There's the Meteor. Drake stacks with it, and there it is. He's gonna be able to keep Brain alive, no problems whatsoever. But that was like the little baby push there from Cloud9. No combustion was available, no real lockdown there as well. The next one, however, that's the scary one, and that's the one where I think Drake and Cerulean are going to have to really try to peel here. Drake now as well on the run here. They get a sheep into a resheep there. And now actually silencing Brain, swapping to him here. Big damage coming in. Do they have the hammer? They do. Cubsy actually chasing it. He's going to get it out of the horror right there. Brain in a lot of trouble. Vivifies coming in. No shutdowns. Not finally going to get a fear onto it. Precasting the MD there onto Cubsy as well. No damage going to be found there. Brain going to use his wings and survive that one. So beautiful stuff here from both teams. Brain actually getting a big heal before that setup. And now once again here, Drake's going to be the target, keeping up Brain. And C9 are playing a lot more aggressive than we've seen in the previous games, going after Brain. And then when the CC chain or when the lockdown is done on Brain and he's safe, they polymorph him and go after Drake. Really, really nice offense so far.
Yeah, you can tell Cloud9 are getting comfortable here. They've had to make an adjustment, bringing in Snuts on Shadow Priest as opposed to what they were running all last season with the Destruction Warlock. So maybe a little bit of a growing pain and just get comfortable with this new composition. But so far in this game, they've been looking very good, getting cooldowns left and right, swapping targets, definitely keeping them at bay. Combustion available for Cerulean. He's a big threat. Cubsy's just going to drink, prepare for the late game. 20 seconds away from dampening. He's more than ready. He's definitely a seasoned veteran at these lengthy games. So if it's a long game, I definitely want Cubsy on my side. Brain definitely familiar as well, but they're sneaking up on him. Wealthy Man blinks in here. What are they going to do to shut them down? Dragon's Breath across the board. Beautiful shutdown, but even with the shutdown, Brain lost half his health. Looks like he will manage to recover. That was insane plays there by Cerulean and Drake, just simultaneously shutting down the whole team. Now they look to reverse it, going after Wealthy Man, who's below half, managing to recover, likely an alter time there. We see Snuts fading in aggressively, getting a Psychic Scream. Brains out in midfield, maybe into a Ring of Frost. Mind Game swap over to Drake. They could bop off the Karma, but Diffuse Magic looks like it should be enough for Drake to survive with a couple of Vivifies here, dispelling that Devouring Plague. Definitely good awareness on Drake's part. That's a hard-hitting attack from the Shadow Priest. Wants to avoid it as much as possible. Brain's still the target here. Caught into a Hammer of Justice. Pops that Divine Protection, but Cerulean blinks in with Dragon's Breath. They paralyze Wealthy Man defensively, and it seems like that's going to be how they stop the attack on Brain every time. Paralyze one attacker, Dragon's Breath the other attacker. That's 3 seconds of the stun gone. Brain's not going to die if 3 seconds of the stun is gone. So if they can keep up that defense, I do think Kawhi will drag this fight for some time, and if they can get deep enough, It's basically the entire series on the line, and Wealthy Man's already in trouble. Immediate recovery by Cubsy. They're trying to punish Drake for pushing so far forward here. Will they be able to get the punish? It's still a lot of damage from that Zwen. They're going to have to control Drake instead. Trying to counter-aggress right now, not going to be the move. And Drake will retreat, not wanting to push too deep here. Snuts is getting right on top of him here. Trying to get a bit cheeky. Maybe move towards Brain. Shadowlands and Wealthy Man just trading fireballs, trying to reset their combustions as they can reduce its cooldown by 5 seconds every fireball. And Snuts is just saving his insanity, waiting for that big burst moment either onto Drake or Brain. Brain and Drake are separated. They're getting ready. Both teams in a stall position, neutral position. Snuts moves in. Drake intercepts, rooting up Snuts, protecting Brain, pushing him back. Wealthy Man blinks forward. Looks for some polymorphs for committing. Cubsy's moving forward. Cloud9 getting in position in midfield for an attack. Brain needs to get ready. Combustion's available. He doesn't want to make the same mistake he made last time. They actually catch Brain with a Ring of Frost. Where are they going to go? Where's the hammer? Brain locked down in the hammer. Suralium in a stun to cover the combustion, but paralyzing Wealthy Man. Wealthy Man gets bopped out of the paralyze to try and go for an all-in, but it is not enough to take them down. And this just one switch of strategy, using Paralyze for defense and using Dragon's Breath for defense, has allowed Kawhi to basically take 0 damage every time Cloud9 wants to get something going. And then right afterwards, Wealthy Man explodes.
Ooh, that was a sacrifice. That was so unfortunate timing there for Wealthy Man. He actually preemptively alter-timed the stun, but they just said, whatever, we're racing this. And they went through and were able to get the sacrifice from Cubsy. Heads-up play there by Cubsy. Otherwise, that certainly would have been the cauterize from Wealthy Man in the match. Suralium taking a little bit of damage right now. We're at 17% dampening. They're actually switching their targeting and going after the mage. Brain into a Hammer of Justice. Can they get something? Sacrifice comes in from Brain as well. So both these paladins putting out the Blessing of Sacrifice in order to keep Suralium and Wealthy Man alive, preventing that cauterize, which you definitely want as this game gets later and deeper into dampening. Drake getting topped off as well. Both teams have stabilized. Cloud9 pulling back, just wanting to kind of recover their cooldowns, top off, and then they'll get ready for another assault. Suralium actually blinking in right now, though, getting some crowd control out, and it's Wealthy Man on the back foot, paralyzed on Snuts. Double leg sweep comes in, nicely done there by Drake. They are trying to push for an ice block. Can they get the ice block? Can they get the cauterize? It would be massive. Cubsy right now into a Hammer of Justice. Wealthy Man on the run, but that Triune Barrier potentially keeping Wealthy Man alive. Is it going to be enough? It looks like it is, with a beautiful mind control from Snuts onto Suralium, denying the damage. Great peels there. Wealthy Man holds on.
Beautiful stuff there, but that push is netting them a lot of cooldowns here. Now they got a setup onto Drake. He could just go down here. Drake gonna trinket on the last second after that save by the life procs, and he's gonna trade out his karma. Brain used his human racial a little bit earlier as well. Cubsy sitting down for a drink here in true C9 fashion, and we're gonna see potentially a CC chain onto Brain and a strategy change where they're gonna be going after Drake. Let's see, Wealthy Man now getting counterspell on Arcane. Suralium going for the polymorph, he gets it. Snuts in a little bit of trouble here. Suralium doing a lot of damage here. No Dragon's Breath there on the mind control. Drake can't find it. He does actually get an interrupt there with the Ring of Peace around the corner. Beautiful stuff. Snuts dropping dangerously low. Another Pyro connects, but Snuts with expert greed here is going to survive there. I'm not sure if he used his desperate prayer there, but definitely going to be holding on to that dispersion, which is a little bit longer cooldown that we're used to due to that body and soul talent that Sid pointed out earlier. And now once again, Drake, Brain going to be sitting back. Drain actually sitting down for a sip here, but Snuts snipes him with the Shadow Crash, putting him in combat. Suralium now trying to find an opportunity. He gets a counterspell onto Wealthy Man. He gets Hammer of Justice there on the setup. Wealthy Man pushing the combustion here, trying to get something done here. Suralium getting silenced here as well. Beautiful attack there. Suralium was about to do the same thing he just did to Snuts there. Again, counterspelling Wealthy Man, preventing himself from being counterspelled, and then pushing him for a sheep there onto Cubsy. But Cubsy immediately responding this time with the Hammer of Justice, and Snuts as well there, ready to back him up with the damage.
Both mages a big threat right now. Who is dampening going to pay its favor to is the question here. Brain slightly behind on mana, but I feel like that's not going to be a factor. Wealthy Man blinks over to Brain. Ring of Peace gets Frost Nova. Wealthy Man's not getting knocked back. That combustion's getting some value from Wealthy Man, covering it with a polymorph, but not enough damage. Drake supports Brain. They swap back over to Suralium. This damage is going to start to stick deep into dampening, so this could be deadly for Kawhi as 3 members are starting to get whittled down. There's a combustion power play on Wealthy Man, though. Dragon's Breath on Snuts to try and cover the purge. Wealthy Man strips it off. Cerulean gets interrupted. Drake shut down. Both teams just shutting down each other perfectly. Cerulean blinks in aggressively, finds Cubsy in a polymorph, and this looks like Kawhi's chance to get aggressive. Defensive Dragon's Breath, Psychic Scream onto Drake, but he's still on target, getting a ton of damage out onto Wealthy Man. Sacrifice forced to be traded from Cubsy. Drake's happy with that. Gets the sacrifice and then bails out. Cerulean in a stun. Brain dispels it so Cerulean can start to run, jumping downstairs on the balcony. Cubsy snuts and Wealthy Man closing in towards Brain. Brain gets caught in a poly. Cerulean looks like the target. Maybe Drake. Drake caught in the Hammer of Justice. They're trying to power through. Drake trades Karma. No bop for the Karma here. Cubsy going to hold on to that defensively for the future. Cerulean blinks in on top of Cubsy, and you can tell Kawhi are ready to get aggressive. They feel like that 40% dampening mark is their chance to really start pushing for a kill, and they're definitely pushing the pace of this game at the moment. Cubsy has to Divine Shield out of that Hammer of Justice. Wealthy Man's still below half health at this time and struggling if Drake can stay on target, but he opts to just run out of there, getting so far away. Drake does not want anything to do with Cloud9 at the moment. Cerulean resetting that combust. A couple more fireballs. He's going to have it, and Wealthy Man will be in a world of pain if Cerulean can connect that.
Well, I think it's just Cubsy has his Avenging Wrath up, and they are just waiting that out. Just live as long as he can during the Avenging Wrath, and now Drake, once again, can go in. 43% dampening. He's got the Mortal Wounds effect, so if they want to push the pace at this point in the game, this would be a great chance to do it. But Drake also maybe feeling a little bit scared. He's got no Trinket. He's got no Touch of Karma. Wants to at least wait till Brain does have his Gladiator's Medallion to break out of that crowd control, or he is going to be susceptible to going down. And Kawhi, if they are in danger, are willing to play very defensive, and that's what we're seeing right now. Probably just looking for a counter attack, but Drake might just get taken down. So much damage. It is going to be the Trinket sacrifice that comes in from Brain to keep Drake alive. And now I'd like to see Kawhi go for it. I mean, they have the Karma rotating back up. There's Zwen. I feel like Wealthy Man, he's kind of run out of time. He does have the Ice Block. He does have the Cauterize, but it's just a matter of time before they are able to force that great life grip there by Snuts, denying some damage from Drake, but finally reconnecting to his target. Wealthy Man just kiting all over the map right now, using, I believe, Alter Time at the moment, trying to get away. Drake trying to reconnect to his target, but also feeling a little bit afraid, using the Diffuse Magic. Wealthy Man still getting low. Drake finally reconnects. But Cloud9's been doing a great job holding on, but they get the Cauterize. This could be the Ice Block as well. They get everything. Things are spiraling out of control here for Cloud9. And now Cloud9, they find themselves with a Mage. No cooldowns left, 50% dampening. What a scary situation.
Yeah, the only line of defense is that sacrifice on Cubsy, and he has to use it preemptively. He has no way of breaking out of crowd control right now, and Wealthy Man has nothing left as well. I mean, maybe he can sack the egg if it does proc, but this is a very, very close call right now. And on the side of Kawhi, they got pretty much everything they need. Drake still has his Karma, he has his Trinkets, Brain has his Bubble as well. Brain now caught up in a polymorph. Wealthy Man looking to get aggressive here. Drake, Hammer of Justice, what he's going to do, he's going to Trinket, trade out the Touch of Karma. There's the combustion as well, being ripped out, and Cerulean's going to dispel that one and Klepto it, and now he's going to get a sheep here onto Cubsy. Big push here onto Wealthy Man. Nice counterspell by Wealthy Man, shutting down the CC chain. Hammer of Justice chain is still going. Wealthy Man trying to kite away with that Night Face Soul Shapes Nuts with a beautiful Master Spell, and Cubsy still holding on by a skin of his teeth there, getting that sacrifice out in the nick of time, and Wealthy Man is going to survive. He's going to have his Trinket and his Bubble, Cubsy that is, in about 40 seconds. So there's going to be one more opportunity to take Wealthy Man down. And Drake right now is also on the run. No cooldowns left. And Brain could actually get swapped to out of this. They might be looking for it here. Let's see what they do. They're actually going after Cerulean a little bit. Drake now pushing back into the middle of the fight, using that Diffuse Magic. And now here we go. The final push of the game potentially for Kawhi. They're looking for Wealthy Man. Drake, though, getting pounced on first. Snuts looking to set up the game here, trying to get some crowd control. Brain now silenced up. Wealthy Man in so much trouble. Brain in trouble. Everybody's just dying here on the map as dampening is just keep ramping up at this point at 60%.
Oh, that's the Void Shift. Last line of defense here for Wealthy Man. They're just crushing through it. Zwen the Tiger getting huge value. They Frost Nova. Wealthy Man blinks away. Will he be able to survive this onslaught? Cubsy Divine Shields to try and heal through this. Vampiric Embrace, but dampening is so high. Drake is retreating away, running to the hills. He doesn't want to have Brain Divine Shield for him. Drake and Snuts and Wealthy Man both in a lot of trouble here. Mana completely tapped for Cubsy despite his drinks earlier. He actually gets counterspell. Drake rolls in with the counterspell. They're on match point. They look to close against Cloud9. Cerulean Soul Shapes in for a Dragon's Breath. There's the Paralyze. They're going to connect. Drake gets stunned off, but he's dispelled. Meteor is about to come down. Big hit actually onto Drake. It's Wealthy Man's Meteor. They're turning it around. Drake gets taken out. They're going to play it out, I think, here. Mind controls on
Look
Surround.
at
He
that.
blocks the mind control. I think we're going to a 2v2. They proc the
Yeah.
wild seed. Brain
Oh
is
my God.
chopping down that wild seed. They're slapping it to take this to a 2v2. Can they take it to a 2v2? Snuts is healing the wild seed. Snuts is keeping the wild seed alive right now. Wealthy Man survives.
way.
Kawhi tap out. We're going to
Oh my
game 5.
God.
What
All
just
right.
happened?
Wild seed. Go ahead, Ben.
No, what just happened? I can't believe that game would have come down to a 2v2, but they managed to spam heal the seed and keep him alive. Cloud9, beautifully done there, really punishing Drake. Drake really didn't have too many defenses when they went for that final push, but I mean, at that point of the game, you really cannot blame Kawhi for trying to just go for it. There was no cooldowns left, no sacrifice. They got an interrupt. I feel like interrupting Cubsy kind of baited Drake into saying, okay, we need to go for it. Here we go. But he still was not prepared to push in, and they were able to take him down. Absolutely beautiful by both these teams.
Yeah, certainly Cloud9 ramping up a little bit here, looking to tie it up. Here are the match results for this game. Hopefully we can get a replay in on this soon as well, but what an incredible series by Cloud9. Let's check out that clip.
That was, yeah, let's check out the clip. Let's just see what happens here. So Cubsy gets Dragon's Breath there into a paralyzed brain, gets feared there as well. And here we go, Ceralium getting counterspell. Drake taking a lot of damage here. His Karma just gets shredded through in a matter of milliseconds. And look at Wealthy Man here trying to survive, and Brain chasing him down there. And look at Snut's frame right there. Shadow Man, Ceralium running out of Fire Blast, spamming out the Phoenix Flames, casting a Fireball. He's just run out of instant damage. And Snuts keeping the seed alive there for the Winter Queen. And that's going to take us to game number 5.
I mean, if he was any other Covenant, right? They just wouldn't have won that game.
Yeah, I know. They're playing the
Couldn't
best
even
Covenant.
see. Yeah.
I don't know if they would have won.
Couldn't even see his health bar.
It was a 2v2.
I think Fire Mage would win.
You think so?
Okay, well, I guess he would have died there, is what I was saying. That would have turned into a cross kill. But yeah, speaking of best Covenants, as Zico just mentioned, make sure you guys are going to the WoW Esports Twitter, voting for your Covenant. You can do that by replying to any of their tweets and using hashtag team and then your Covenant of your choice. We do have some of those tallied up already. Maybe we'll see it sometime later today. I don't want to spoil who's winning yet, but if you guys want to get some last minute points in, make sure you check out WoW Esports Twitter. Put in your tallies for your favorite Covenant. But yeah, what a game by these guys. Black Root Cold is the map that we're going to. Cloud9 sticking with that Fire Mage and Shadow Priest with Snuts. Kawhi now to choose their composition here, and this is really looking like Cloud9's about to turn this around on us, Fenriky.
I mean, they're definitely making it interesting, that's for sure. Coming back in the series, it really seemed like Kawhi, they were going to walk away with it, but Cloud9 battling it back. Beautiful plays, and I mean, that was basically Wealthy Man. It was a do or die situation. He used his Altar Time. Ceralium had no Kleptomania, and he just combusted. Broke through Karma, Altar Time back, finished him off, and basically all that burst did come out from Wealthy Man on that Fire Mage, and he was willing to just, I mean, that's all he could really do, right? Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and he was able to get that cross kill. But now we're going to the exact same matchup. So both these teams kind of led with their best foot forward in the blind pick, and we've seen it just be back and forth in this matchup. I mean, Cloud9 has won the last two, but I still have no idea who's going to win. It's just too close to call.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams, Kawhi and Cloud9, we're seeing in this match. We've seen it time and time again in BFA. The use of their defensives and their skill to just survive in these really scary and tight situations, Super Tees, I just feel like is really on another level here.
Yeah. I mean, the composition also plays well into that strategy. Just the highest mobility classes, Windwalker Mage, just keep the enemies back. If they push on top of you, just one tap them with a huge amount of burst damage. So it's a strategy that plays incredibly well into the strengths of these classes. I'm glad to see Cloud9 sort of come together throughout this series because they have had to make that adjustment. They can't play the same composition. For Kawhi, this is basically just Battle for Azeroth again for them. It's the exact same playstyle for them. It's really no different. Just reset combustion, keep avoiding damage, deflect them. So they're still on point, reigning North American champions. Cloud9 have had to readjust, and they're finding their footing now. They were completely out of mana. I was like, there's no way that Cloud9 holds this together. But they just said, okay, we're going to just say, we're going to kill you before we die. We're out of mana. We can't drag this on anymore. And it usually comes down to that 50-60% dampening between these teams throughout their history, where it's just the last couple of setups that really have that high impact, and you're stressed when your healing is so significantly reduced. But Snuts did such a great job, I feel like, right at the end of the game too. In game 1, we saw them go down without void shifting. But in that last game, they didn't overlap. They kept the cooldowns trading and just played a solid game on the Shadow Priest. And Snuts is definitely just phenomenal. Multi-classer, flipping between. I mean, this is a team that came on with 2 Warlocks. Then we saw him come in on Rogue or come in on Windwalker. Now he has to come in on Shadow Priest. I think still he probably would rather be on the bench. I feel like if you asked him, like, would you be upset if you won being on the bench? He'd probably say no. I'd be perfectly fine. So. Yeah. Snuts is coming in clutch, definitely strong for the team here, and it's going to come down to this, just one more game.
Yeah. No, and you're certainly right about that. You know, in the past, I've interviewed Cloud9 and about keeping Snuts in that bench position. And, you know, even though you don't see him in the games, he's really been an integral part of this team, always strategizing behind the scenes, supporting the rest of the members on this team. But it is Kawhi versus Cloud9, 2-2, both teams on match point.
This is absolutely crazy. 2-2 in the upper bracket. Which one of these teams is going to be able to advance and play against OTK in the upper finals, who I'm sure is watching this matchup right now in anticipation for what is to come. Both these teams absolutely phenomenal, some of the best in North America, and we'll have to see. I mean, once again, it just seems like in this matchup, Kawhi, they're just all about, you know, the counter attack. You just wait for Cloud9 to push in, and then you get to do your go. So they've made some good adjustments using the Dragon's Breath, using the Paralyze to slow down those goes, and then try to get a Polymorph on Cubsy and reverse the pressure. We'll see what they can set up. Hammer Justice down to Seralium. Immediate Trinket. He gets disarmed on his Trinket. Brain into a silence right now. Looks like Seralium might be able to survive only using that Everyman for himself, and I think that's more than a fair trade.
Ooh, Combust gets pulled out though by Seralium right there. Snuts going to use that dispersion immediately, and that is going to be a long cooldown. I'm not sure if Drake and them realize, but they're going to keep the chain going here. DR stun coming out on Snuts. He does have his Fade if he needs it, but nice defensive Dragon's Breath there by Wealthy Man. Going to keep that cooldown for as long as possible. Snuts still choosing to hold on to that Grain of Trade. He finally activates it, but that's going to be the sacrifice there from Cubsy, as well as that Avenging Raft. So definitely a defensive overlap there, and Snuts is looking like a juicy target right now for Kawhi. They're going to have that combustion as well if they can get a couple of more fireballs. Seralium already shifting power, spamming out a few fireballs, trying to get that combustion back off cooldown. 55 seconds left, so very, very likely to be up before Snuts has dispersion, and that could be a big hit, potentially forcing out Cubsy's bubble just to, you know, get healing, because he doesn't have his wings, he doesn't have his sacrifice, so he needs to use something that allows him to just power through with heals. Wealthy Man now taking a decent amount of damage here, but he's just soaking it up with Triune Barrier. No big deal for him. Seralium, though, able to reset his combustion. 15 seconds left for that one. The next attack on Snuts is going to be very scary. He's going to have to Trinket Fade and make some big plays.
Let's see if he can make the trade here as Kawhi just post up and reset their combustion. Both mages have it available. Hardest hitting attack for a fire mage. You definitely just get erased. They're going after Wealthy Man here, poking away, but that Blazing Barrier with Triune Ward going to absorb all the hits. Drake pulls away, lets Seralium poke the barrier off before committing that positioning. I like Brain back in the room, not stacked up, no Door Shadows attempt, and this was a really smart map from Kawhi. It's big enough that Brain can stay far away, but it's got a lot of pillars. Drake gets mind controlled in, able to escape though. Now on to Wealthy Man. Wealthy Man overextends. Cubsy moves in to try and help him out. They stun up Seralium. They pop the combustion. That could be a standard strategy. Just stun, silence the mage, and pop combustion so that Seralium can't take it away from Wealthy Man and just win with damage. Maybe we see them repeat that moving forward here, at least before dampening. Mana is ahead for Cubsy, though, quite significantly, although did it really end up being a factor at all? I don't think it was. Drake and a Polymorph, Seralium and a Polymorph. Both players just getting CC'd here. Now a Blink Polymorph attempt by Wealthy Man. They're going after Drake in the stun. Drake Trinket Diffuse. Is it going to be enough? 40% health remaining. Staying right on top of Seralium here, hoping for some support, but now Psychic screamed out into the open. No damage really available. Drake should stabilize, and he's got Zwen, and Wealthy Man just used a Frost Nova. Drake immediately takes that opportunity to pop the Zwen. He's going in. They're swapping to Cubsy. Little bit of a cheeky play here by Kawhi. Cubsy, though, looks like he was more than ready. Snuts grips Cubsy back to the room. Line of sights. I do like that Kawhi are keeping this interesting, though, not just keeping to the script, really trying to catch any openings that they can.
Yeah, Cerulean going for shifting power, trying to reset those cooldowns. Wealthy Man does the same. Really good cooldowns right now. I'd say Drake is probably the most susceptible, but Brain still with his Divine Shield, his Gladiator's Medallion. He's looking good to keep his team alive. In the meantime, Cloud9, I really like that Kawhi was willing to just go after Snuts in the beginning. It seemed like they had so much pressure on him. And of course, it could be off the back of that Zwen, but maybe if they realize Snuts is playing a little bit of risky talent choices, maybe they haven't realized it yet, but that Body and Soul definitely is an opportunity for them to go after Snuts and really put some pressure on him. And I feel like if they just sat on Snuts and played a little bit more aggressive in this matchup, they might be able to just run him over. But for now, Cerulean's going to be using that Alter Time. He gets the Dragon's Breath on Wealthy Man, really denying this go onto Cerulean. But finally, the Ice Block does get forced. That was a nice play, but Wealthy Man with his combustion, with the backup of Snuts and Cubsy with that crowd control, are able to get Cerulean's Ice Block, and this is a good lead for Cloud9.
Yeah, Snuts has all his cooldowns back, and Cubsy's going to have his trinket rotating back in about 45 seconds. So there's an opening here, and they might take it. A nice Hammer of Justice! My goodness, Wealthy Man triggers the Cauterize right there. Beautiful Hammer of Justice there on Brain. You can see Cubsy has that Divine Favor up. He interrupted his big heal with that, and they're trying to CC through it right now. Wealthy Man, though, with a big Triune Barrier, might still be fine. He gets Klepted on it, and now line of sighted by Cerulean. Can't Klepto those shields back, and he is going to survive there, but that was a very nice push there from Kawhi, getting the Ice Block off Wealthy Man. Cerulean, no Ice Block as well. Brain, no Trinket. Cloud9 in a slight lead here. They're going to also have that next Hammer of Justice ready right now, whereas Brain has to wait a little bit. So they are 1 go ahead right now, 2 if you count that Trinket on Brain as well. But this game is super close. And the matchup is kind of just evolving away from trying to kill the healer to just trying to kill the mage here for Cloud9.
Yeah, we got Charlotte Phoenix, Space Station Gaming down in the lower bracket. I feel like neither of these teams want to go down this early. They'd like to stay on the upper side, and that's what they're fighting for here in game number 5. Big setup on Brain. Is he ready for it? 2 seconds left on that stun lock. Looks like he's holding strong without using anything just yet, but he's getting lower. Manages to clutch it out with a heal there right at the end, surviving the stun silence. Now Cerulean blinking in, finding a polymorph on Cubsy. Snuts goes for Mass Dispel, gets it. Cubsy's out of control. Ultimate blinks back, catching Drake in midfield. Are they going to swap over to Drake here? Maybe stun and Dispel. Cerulean gets mind controlled away. Snuts just totally shutting the enemy team down at that moment in time, dispelling his healer, mind controlling the damage dealers, getting full control of the match here. 8% dampening. Seems like around that 30 to 50% mark is when it really heats up between these teams. In this game number 5, our last upper bracket round of the day. We still have 2 more lower bracket rounds set up on Drake, rolling back to the pillar. He's trying to be greedy, holding on to the defensive cooldowns. He doesn't want to trade outside of that combustion window, and it looks like he manages to, but now they swap to Brain, who's overextended. Wealthy Man dropping the Meteor. Half of Brain's health is now gone. Silence out of the Hammer of Justice. They're not committed for it. Sense is going to save that for the combustion push. Try and bait some more cooldowns outside of it. Cubsy now in a stun. Wealthy Man in trouble. Match point. How are they going to respond? Leg sweep secures Wealthy Man down, and Cubsy has to respect that trade. His Gladiator's Medallion, trade his sacrifice, redirect damage, and stabilize throughout that attack. But it's cooldown after cooldown, and Kawhi are definitely evening things up.
Ooh, that's crowd control from Snuts is absolutely brutal. He used Thought Steal on Cerulean and was able to just spam polymorph him. If he got locked down polymorph, he mind controlled him and had Cerulean locked down for a good 15 to 20 seconds there. So great crowd control coming in from Snuts. One of the new utilities of Shadow Priest in Shadowlands. That Thought Steal, really, really powerful. Now Kawhi at 15% dampening. They're looking good. I mean, Wealthy Man still no Ice Block for another 2 minutes. There's no sacrifice for 2 minutes. Zwen's coming up in 15 seconds. There is a huge opportunity. Void Shift is probably the last line of defense here for the side of Cloud9. And Snuts is going to have to make sure he is on point and actually using that in order to stay alive. But Kawhi kind of just waiting for the attack from Cloud9 so they can do kind of a counter push. Just charging after Wealthy Man in the open without him committing any sort of mobility is probably not the play. Brain actually sat down for a drink there. So both these Paladins, despite it being 20% dampening, have 100% mana, which is definitely the position you want to be in if you are a healer. And we'll have to see who can pull out ahead as we march deeper into dampening.
All the priest mains right now are looking at the mana bars going, We're gonna see a big push now actually happening here. Both combustions are ready, so this next push could be deadly. Who is going to be the target of choice here right now? Cerealium looking to push in here. Cubsy and Cerealium just kind of line of sighting each other. Their Brain now gonna get caught up in a psychic horror into a full fear. Snuts going absolutely bananas here with the damage. Who is going to be his target? It's going to be Drake here. Drake though has all of his defense, gonna use that touch of karma right there, and that should be enough to keep him alive just for now. He does have his diffuse magic as well to work with if he needs to. That is more of an offensive touch of karma, and here we go. Here comes the crowd control. Full hammer of justice. Cerealium is ready as well to back him up with the ring of frost. He's gonna get it. Snuts looking for the pre-master spell. Nice counter spell as well by Wealthy Man, shutting down the CC chain. Snuts is ready to shut it down in case it lands. Wealthy Man still taking a lot of damage though. The sheep gets secured. Nice trinket there coming out from Cubsy, taking no risks right there with their wings as well. Gonna keep Wealthy Man alive in that situation. Now Cerealium getting Hammer of Justice. Brain in the room here, actually using that sacrifice there. Doesn't want to poke out and get silenced by Snut, so he's gonna play the range game there. Perfect positioning from both of these healers. Now Cubsy as well, getting sheeped here out of the Dragon's Breath. Drake taking a little bit of damage, activating the diffuse magic there potentially if he needs to. Wealthy Man still taking a decent amount of damage. Can he get the re-follow up? Doesn't look like it. Wealthy Man once again quick with the counter spell, shutting down the setup, and that is going to be Kawhi saying peace from the middle and going back to the room.
Yeah, you're not going to kill through an ultimate sacrifice, so force the cooldown, get out. Force the cooldown, get out. Force the cooldown, get out. Hit and run strategy from Kawhi. This is what they're known for. That's why they're the reigning North American champions. Can they close it out here against Cloud9? It would be a statement for this initial tournament in 2021. Let's see if they can. Posted up here at the pillar. Brain in the back line, doesn't want to be a target. I love this map selection for them. It's a great map with lots of distance and still pillars nearby for the Windwalker to kite. This is excellent strategy by Kawhi overall. It's definitely why they kept it in their back pocket. Brain looked like he wanted to move in there and then pulls away. So Drake's going to portal out of line of sight as well. And look, he can portal all the way into the starting room, completely out of line of sight. And Cerealium's left out there. Are they going to be able to kill the mage, though? Against double caster, Fire Mage is incredibly durable. Those shields just take forever to cut through with the Shadow Priest poke damage and the Wealthy Man fireballs. Just not enough to really crack it, but dampening's ramping up. Healing is going to be significantly reduced, now already reduced by 35% and will continue to rise. You can see it at the top of your screen at almost the 11-minute mark between these North American Titans. Who is going to close it? We've seen a lot of Windwalkers throughout North America's region. I'm curious to see if maybe Europe adopts Windwalkers as well, moving into Championship Sunday tomorrow, as well as the regions have been prioritizing Windwalkers in North America, Warriors in Europe a little bit more. So a little bit of a difference in terms of region. Wealthy Man the target at the moment. He's been the main focus flyer. He still has Cauterize. He still has Ice Block. He still has that Wild Seed. Sacrifice is coming up. Cloud9 are in a good position to take game number 5, and they've been battling this out to the absolute bitter end. Every single one of these games, other than a massive explosion on Brain, a miscalculation, has gone deep into dampening. So you're going to be mentally taxed at this point, having to make next to no mistakes for almost 15 minutes straight, multiple times in a row. This is tense, and they want to avoid that lower side. There's a lot of big teams down there already, like Space Station Gaming and Charlotte Phoenix, as the tensions continue to rise here in game 5.
Yeah, I mean, winning this game puts you in that top 3, puts you in that top 4. Right now, Drake in a little bit of trouble. He does manage to get away. Once again, crowd control onto Brain. Such a tense moment, like you were saying. 43% dampening. Cerealium gets caught into a Hammer of Justice. Finds the full polymorph on Cubsy. Snuts gets interrupted as well. Looking for polymorphs. He thought steals the polymorphs. There will be no fall of crowd control. Actually, a Dragon's Breath into a Ring of Frost. He gets interrupted. Now Cerealium. Thought stolen on polymorph. Interrupted on Ring of Frost. There's no way you can get more crowd control. Cubsy does manage to escape, and now they're putting out the counter pressure onto Drake once again. I mean, this is just looking like what we saw in the last game, where everything is looking good for Kawhi, but if Drake overextends his welcome, and Wealthy Man has that combustion, he can really punish him. And Wealthy Man has combustion up right now. He is caught into a stun. He's got the Ice Block. He's got the Cauterize. Cloud9 has bought enough time. They need to hold on to the cheat death, though. Are they going to use the Ice Block? And they overlap the Cauterize and the Ice Block once again. I feel like it's a big mistake from Cloud9. Just trade out the Ice Block a little bit sooner. At least you have the cheap death then, but that's a big victory there for Kawhi, getting those defensive cooldowns, and now it's going to be down to Cubsy using Sacrifice or Snuts using Void Shift in order to keep Wealthy Man alive. Cerealium now getting swapped to once again. Sacrifice just trades right away I mean, Brain does not want to mess around. He's in a very safe position, so he can just spam out heals on himself. As you can see right now, he's just dying to the sacrifice damage. That's how much burst was available, but just way better for him to take up that damage with the sacrifice in a safe position. Drake now getting swapped to once again. Doesn't want to have to trade the Karma. At 50% dampening, there is no guarantee that that cooldown is going to rotate back up.
Yeah, this game could be anybody's, and this is game number 5. Loser goes to the lower bracket. Winner gets himself the guaranteed spot in the top 3 and in that upper bracket final. Brain pushing in for the blinding light. Snuts does activate the fade here, and he's gonna look for the fear. He gets a nice double fear here. Wealthy Man trying to set up out of it. He gets a ring of frost onto Cubsy. Surrounding taking a lot of damage here. Brain with the wings active, and that's gonna be Cubs' divine shield as well as that blessing of freedom. Big damage on Suralium still though. Conrad's gonna trigger. Suralium might need to use his ice block if he's not careful. Snuts going for the master spell. Crowd control is endless on Brain. Full sheep. Surround him with the invis. Can he find him?
The seed!
Drake is with him. The seed
The
is protected in the room. They're trying to keep it alive. Can they kill it? And they will be able to take it down. Cloud9 wins the matchup on a reverse sweep.
Wow, Cloud9 turning that around. Second reverse sweep of the day that we've seen. Moving forward in the upper bracket, they will go. And we're going to see Kawhi drop down in the lower bracket. That is not the end of them just yet. They're going to face off against Charlotte Phoenix for the last match of the day. But I don't think over the games that I've seen today as well as yesterday, Supatees, I don't think I've seen a closer match.
I mean, these